Hey everyone, this is a viewer requested look at all of the figures from the LEGO Marvel Superheroes Avengers Infinity War first wave of sets that have been produced and released to the public as of the time of the recording of this video. We're going to look at all of these together, and I'm also going to show you each one up close. These figures come from 6 sets that have been released in the first wave. That's one set for each of the Infinity Stones that you collect, or that Thanos is trying to collect. In total, we're looking at 25 figures here. It's 23 regular minifigures and 2 big figs. They're divided into 16 on the good guy side with just 1 duplicate, and then 9 on the bad guy side with 4 duplicates spread across 3 sets. To get up close, let's start with some of the good guys. This is Spider-Man in Iron Spider form. This came in the Sanctum Sanctorum set, which also includes the building with Peter Parker's apartment in it. This one has a couple of the white web blast pieces that attach to the hands and actually will fire off, and it has printing on the arms that goes for both arms, and then the Iron Spider suit is set up with the attachment that's actually new on the back to allow these arms or legs to be actually swiveled forward and back. You can open those up to give a very intimidating appearance to the whole thing, so it's pretty wide like that. And if you bring the arms, the actual arms up, then you can bring all of these forward quite a bit to give you those forward strikes. Beneath the whole spider arm or leg assembly, they actually have some pretty nice printing on the back of the torso. Also from the Sanctum Sanctorum set is Doctor Strange himself. This one has pretty good printing that goes through the torso into the hips and down to the legs. I think it's lined up pretty well for such a small scale. His cloak is set up with 2 pieces of cloth. The upper part for the collar is actually the stiffer material, the older, more traditional material that LEGO has used for capes in the past. And then he has the newer style of softer, more smooth and flowy cape piece for the lower and main section of it. And the nice thing about that is it allows you to very easily just pop this up so you can see the print underneath and you can appreciate the detail that went into that. He also has this alternate face for when he's angry or involved in a battle. Bruce Banner is by far the simplest and most plain figure from this series because it's just Bruce Banner. He's just in his plain, controlled human form. He's very calm, and his sense of style is fine. It's just nothing special, right? Except when you take off the hair or swap around the head, you see that he does still have the ability to tap into that hulking out rage. We'll have to see if he actually goes all the way. But this comes in the Hulkbuster Smash Up set, so he is still going to be able to have some power even in this form just by using a big mech. This is the martial artist formerly known as Black Widow. Maybe we'll still call her Black Widow in Infinity War. She's got the new blonde color for the hair, still the original style of mold for that though. And LEGO went with the full green color for the base of the torso. We've gotten some confusing looks at how accurate or inaccurate that will be. I think there's a little bit of green in her actual final movie costume, just a little bit. It's very subtle. Here's the alternate face for that figure, and just really quickly how that looks framed up by the hair. And this figure comes in the Outrider Dropship Attack set. And here are the Outriders themselves. 2 of them are included in that Outrider Dropship Attack set. One is included with the Hulkbuster Smash Up, and the 4th one comes in the Corvus Glaive Thresher Attack set. I think these are great little generic baddies with awesome prints for the torso and the head with the gold teeth there. As of the time of the recording of this video, now this may have changed by the time you're watching the video, but there's a little bit of confusion around whether there will be 6 or 4 arms on these in the movie. There's one picture that shows them having 6, and then in the trailer, that first trailer that was released, it looked like there were only 4 arms, so we'll see how that works out. But they set it up with 6 if you want to switch over to just 4, if that ends up being the reality for all or some of them. You can just pull off those 2 lower arms, and it makes for not such a bad look. You know, they're using that same piece from Iron Spider to connect those. I think it works out pretty well, but either way, I think this is a really good looking figure with some fun play value. And look at the print on the back of the torso. All of that is normally hidden away from view. If you get multiples of this figure, I strongly recommend that you take off the extra arms from one of them just so you can appreciate how cool that looks from behind. Ebony Maw comes in the Sanctum Sanctorum set, and it's very difficult to approximate kind of a skinny face in Lego form with just the regular minifig head piece, but I think that print does a pretty good job of capturing the face shape and also expression. The head itself, though, is very, very bright. The choice of the light aqua is probably the best that Lego could have done to match his MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, appearance based on the colors they have available. But it is very bright. It really stands out. He comes with a couple of blast, energy blast pieces. I think the prints on this one are just really good. Just the head color is really bright. Captain America, or is he just Steve Rogers now, is in the Outrider Dropship Attack set, and he comes with the two new shields that I think look pretty good here. Directly from the front, they look too much like claws. It's an existing piece that Lego has used before, but from any kind of angle, I think the shaping overall and how they will be used and the proportions are great. Overall, I feel like this is just a very well reproduced character that looks very accurate in Lego form to what we've seen of how the character will look in the actual Infinity War movie, and he does have an alternate face as well. I like what they did with the layering for the colors for the beard, so it's not just, or all of the facial hair, so it's not just one color. I think it works out pretty well and gives a nice transition to the slightly lighter color that's used for the main hairpiece itself. Here's Thor from the Thor's Weapon Quest set with the weapon for which he quests. That's Stormbreaker, his new replacement for Mjolnir. It has half axe and half hammer design with handle graciously contributed by Groot. I think the print for the face looks really good. I think that Lego did a very good job of designing such a small weapon for him, to fit this scale. I think the print for the torso is just a little bit lacking in detail personally. I wish that some of those lines were a little bit more fine, but he does have the alternate face here, so he's still able to express his rage and his power, which is going to be important in that set and in this movie. The new Lego version of Falcon gets a glorious wingsuit. I mean, this thing is able to fold up in all kinds of ways, so you can really get some nice poses with this if you have it in horizontal form while it's actually flying. You could even use those wings as weapons. You can bend them forward more. It does rely on stickers to get the nice look there, and those stickers are only present on the front, but they really blend well with the design that's used for his torso, and the entire backpack unit even has a small removable section to represent the new drone form Red Wing. I mean, this is not that impressive, but the size is a lot more accurate than the last one that they did. He has a good alternate face, and this is another one that hides away a really nice torso print on the back. I personally actually like that back torso print more than I like the front one. I mean, both of them are really detailed, but there's just something about that one on the back, I guess with just the little gold accents. It just makes it extra classy. Oh yeah, and this one comes in the Hulkbuster Smash-Up set. As does the villain Proxima Midnight here. This is showing one of her two faces on this figure, the more confident, if not condescending smile version. And when I first reviewed the set this figure came in, I didn't have very positive feelings about it. I feel like it's grown on me a bit, but it definitely could have used more detail. Her outfit has a lot of small, fine lines in it, and I think they could have captured that a little bit better in the arms and possibly the lower part of the torso, maybe even into the hips and the legs here. The weapon is also not right. It should have had one end done that way, and then the other end should have been different to represent more of the trident style that's at one of the heads. This face, I think, is a lot more appropriate, a lot more useful between the two, and the print on the back of the torso has a level of detail that I think is even a little bit lower than what they did on the front. Iron Man is the one Avenger that comes in multiple sets in this initial wave, so he's in the Sanctum Sanctorum set to provide some guidance and help to Peter Parker with the Iron Spider suit on, And he's also in the Thanos Ultimate Battle set that comes with the Ravager M ship. And the figures themselves, as we're seeing here, just the most basic plain form of the figures, are identical between the two. So all of the prints are identical, and also beneath there, the face prints are identical. So this is one of them that shows kind of that close-up look with the reflections, or actually seeing through a little bit the holographic heads-up display. And it's questionable whether that was done quite right. It's very bright with the white background, but you see what they were going for, and I appreciate that they tried to get that look in there, and then they just gave you a more traditional basic Tony Stark face. The Thanos Ultimate Battle set, though, comes with the fully expanded and upgraded version of the suit with the extra thrusters added on, and that really adds a lot of bulk to this figure, makes him look a lot more intimidating, and I'm assuming that this is what will allow him to actually fly around in space very effectively. But this just looks really strong. Uses 4 stickers to give you that extra added level of detail, and it's got these big thrusters that you can change around. You can change the angles on them, and you can also swap out some of those blast pieces that are used on the tips. So we've got smaller ones on the base, larger ones on the top, but if you want to, you can just pull off one of those blast pieces and put it in the front, so he's actually able to be firing off that much energy. Just a lot of things that you can do with this pretty fun figure that once again uses that same piece that was used for the Outriders and for the Iron Spider suit. I mean, look at how much of a difference that makes between the two. Same basic figure, but they add a lot on for this special version. Now let's look at the Guardians of the Galaxy that are spread across 2 of the Infinity War sets. Star-Lord comes with his 2 trademark blasters in the Thanos Ultimate Battle set, but they did not give him a helmet, so he's just in his normal form with the hairpiece there. And you have to line up the hairpiece just right if you want to hide as much as possible of the secondary face that's on the back there, because he has a lot of stubble that comes all the way out to the edge, and he does have a good alternate face. Gamora comes in that same set, and I think she has a great set of prints and paint applications with the magenta on the hair. Nice job on the face with the silver accents, and you get printing going all the way through into the hips and down to the legs. Could have been just a little bit more saturated there. The brown gets a little bit dark, but it's not bad. Dark brown arms there, good printing around the back as well, and a good and very useful alternate face for when she's in battle or just generally angry. Teen Groot gave us arguably one of the most funny moments in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 in the after credits scene, and this is the first time that LEGO has made him in this form. He comes with just one extra stalk of biomass that's growing out, and this is from the Thor's Weapon Quest set, where I think it's very appropriate to include him. That's a brand new head mold that they created just for this figure. Might even be useful for a later, more grown-up version of him, and I think that the print on the torso looks really good. And I also did a separate video comparing all versions of full Groot figures to date, and I think that they've been very consistent with the style for those prints for this character. And finally, Rocket Raccoon is sold alongside Teen Groot in the Thor's Weapon Quest set. He acts as the pilot for the pod in that, and he has the bright, wide, and tall even grin. Some paint application that is actually really good for that singular headpiece. There's no normal minifig head beneath that, it's just what you see. And he has the reversible tail, although the tail has to be in this upward form if he's going to stand on the ground. And here's the figure with all that stuff removed, so you can see the full torso print on the back, and I think there was a little bit you might not have seen, from the front, just up towards the top in the corners. Another figure from that same set that is recycled is Vision here, but I don't think that's a bad thing at all, because I think this is a great figure. I think it's a wonderful interpretation of that character, the live-action version of him in Lego form. I think the colors are good. I think the prints are good. I think the cape looks great. It's got a little bit of metallic shimmer to it. Just everything about this figure, to me personally, is really well done. So I'm glad that they didn't try to change it up just to change it when it was already in just a fine form as it was. And notice this does still have the Infinity Stone embedded in his forehead. The newly reinvigorated and repopularized Black Panther comes in the Corvus Glaive Thresher Attack set, and this figure is reused from one of the Black Panther movie sets, which makes perfect sense given how close the two movies are together in the in-universe timeline. Most of the fan feedback that I've seen about this figure suggests a strong preference towards closing up the eyes, actually putting the visors or just the covers over there to not show the actual raw eyes beneath and the skin tone, just to get more of that full mask on look. But this is the version that they've given us so far for Infinity War. This has some really subtle printing with black on black. It's black paint or ink on top of the black plastic, which is difficult to see unless you get the light to strike it just right. And again, that's on the front and the back both. I'm just going to roll straight through with the remaining major figures from the Corvus Glaive Thresher Attack set. This is Shuri, the first appearance of this character in Lego form, and I think she has done very well. It's a good reuse of the hairpiece that was previously introduced and only used in the Ghostbusters reboot set that they did for the Ecto 1 and 2 together. And I think it's just very appropriate for this character. The printing on the torso looks good. The gauntlets were an existing piece that they had done in an original theme for Ultra Agents before, and I think that they are well used here. And that head has a good face on it and a good secondary face as well, again, for when she's mad or in battle. And here's Corvus Glaive himself, the figure that lends his name to the set he comes in. It's a very scary and creepy looking figure, very scary and creepy looking character in universe. They've done a nice thing with the weapon. It's built up with existing pieces, but I think it looks pretty good, but I need to take that off. This is printed on top of gunmetal gray for most of the body pieces. The cape is the more papery, more crinkly style, but it's nicely cut out to make it look all tattered. And with everything removed, now you can appreciate the print that's on the back of the torso. That is hidden most of the time, and you can see his alternate face. Still creepy even when he's smiling, possibly even more creepy there, because you don't really know what he's thinking. He's up to no good. But this is more of kind of a default for him, I think. Just all good prints all around. Just doesn't have any prints for the hips or legs though, but I think it looks okay, especially with all the accessories. And finally, the Big Figs. This is Cull Obsidian from the Sanctum Sanctorum set with a brand new exclusive head mold that also includes the shoulder pauldron or flap piece there. I think the head mold itself looks really good, especially on the top, though the whole thing does look a little bit more like the comic version of this character in the face than the cinematic universe version of him. The weapons are actually built up from small pieces, so that's always an enjoyable thing rather than getting just large preformed parts. And there's no printing on the back. There's a little bit of mismatch between the two colors with the paint that's used up here and the just plastic that's used below, but I actually like that. I think it gives it a little bit more character and makes it look a little bit less plain from around the back. And that brings us to Thanos himself, who is included in the Thanos Ultimate Battle set with the Infinity Gauntlet. And they also include one of the Infinity Stones in that set, but if you want to complete the entire gauntlet, you do need to collect all 6 of the sets from this first wave, but I've done a separate video where I show how that looks, just focusing more on the gauntlet itself. They do also include in that set just a second regular hand for him, a left hand, so if you want to show him pre-acquisition, you can. However, you cannot show him with his helmet off, as we've seen him in the first trailer and in the Marvel Cinematic Universe little teaser previous to this, so there's no alternate version of the head setup at all. Perhaps they will make a second version of the Big Fig with just a different headpiece. That remains to be seen. His skin tone is very brightly colored, and just overall the figure looks at this time a little bit more like the comic version of him than the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of him, but it's still a exciting figure to get. It's very important that they included it in this first wave, and he definitely looks best with the Infinity Gauntlet on. The mold for the hand pieces is actually really good for these in terms of how it just blends back into the arms, but it just makes for a much simpler and less imposing looking figure this way. Looking at these all together, I think this is a very strong set of figures, especially to get from just 6 sets in a single wave. And some of those sets were relatively small and inexpensive. There were some more expensive ones, but at least they gave us a range. And I think that LEGO has done pretty good justice to this entire theme so far. I think this may be the best that they've done for any specific movie, especially with just one wave of releases. But let me know what you think, and let me know if you have any favorites amongst these figures, or just any specific feedback about any of the particulars, or about the collection on the whole. Thank you for your suggestions to do this video. If you haven't seen the individual reviews of the sets these come in, you can check those out on my channel. And stick around because more videos are always on the way. Thanks for watching.